Reaction Monday presented by TDECU, Landry Locker, Cody Stutz with you, and we are reacting to a win, which if I would have told you that we'd be reacting to a win 24 hours ago, you probably would have called me nuts. This was about when the comeback started for the Houston Texans, second biggest comeback in franchise history, and I'll be damned, Cody, the quest to get to 5-5, which we talked about, is alive and well. Let's talk about it.
5-5 is still alive, and it looked like it was dead as a doornail when it was 17-0 yesterday. I mean, my goodness, just about anything that could go wrong to start that game for the Houston Texans did go wrong, from guys getting banged up to self-inflicted injuries to special teams mishaps to offensive everything went wrong to start that thing, and they just kept at it, kept hammering. The Jaguars are an awful football team. My God, are they bad at football on a variety of different levels? And you claw and scratch your way back in there and ultimately give yourself a chance to win. And the Texans go out there and get it, and they get it done in a game that they absolutely had to have. And man, it wouldn't have been just off the rails if they'd lost after that 17-0 start. I mean, it'd have been like those old Western movies when you see the train fall off the tracks, off the bridge into the water. Like, it'd have been, you wouldn't know where to go as an organization. I mean, shoot, I was putting together the who they should fire list when it was 17-0.
Yeah, it was. I said this yesterday, and I stand by this pretty heavily. I think as far as like the actual performance by Davis Mills, I think it's by far the best quarterback performance of the season, and I think it might be the best quarterback performance. Probably going back to even bringing anything to the discussion, I would say probably October of last season. Maybe we can start having those types of discussions. But I thought it was the best quarterback performance of the season. Does that mean that Davis Mills should start over CJ Stroud? No, that would be that's an absolutely not type of thing. But I mean, for what they needed, for what they'd struggled doing before the comeback happened. For the toughness that he displayed, for the offensive line that he played behind, the entire right side out, and the things that he did, I thought it was the best quarterback performance of the season for the Texans. And I think probably the best since probably October of last year. We can go back there and then maybe get some CJs. But I think as far as just the QB play, I think it was that. Like, you look at what he actually did and what he was required to do. So not only did he basically have to come in, he had to come in and start a game for the first time in God knows how long, a couple of years. He had to do so behind a bad offensive line. He jacked up his arm. It looked like a damn softball was in his left arm. I don't know if you saw it, but he got hurt. He had to overcome special teams, which I'm not sitting here trying to say too much, but without the poor special teams performance, the Texans probably would have been in pretty decent control of this game. Special teams gave up at least 14 points. You can make a case that they gave up more than that based on the starting field position that they gave. He also had to do what they've struggled to do at a bottom of the league level, which is score in the red zone. He did so 3 times in the fourth quarter on third downs, twice with his arms, once with his leg. And he did basically what was required of him. And along the way, he showed a lot of toughness. So I think as far as the quarterback performance, this was the best quarterback performance that we saw this season. And hopefully it just sets the table for CJ Stroud down the stretch to be able to kind of capitalize on it. But
this is, I mean, you could go across the league. This is one of the best backup quarterback performances in a year where there's been a ton of them. This is one of the best backup quarterback performances across the league this year. And you think about, Flacco less than 2 weeks there in Cincinnati, and he has a big game against Pittsburgh. I guess some of the other stuff, if you want to call some of these younger players that got opportunities to play, like what Jackson Dart did and some of those things. But as far as backups across the league, this is one of the best performances that you're going to see all season long from a backup quarterback in the spot that the team was in, what he did and didn't have at his disposal, and then ultimately what was asked of him in the middle of the game as they're down 17-0.
Yeah, and I always use like the NBA reference. Like, I think Joe Dumars won a NBA Finals MVP or whatever, doesn't mean he's better than Isaiah Thomas. Like it's so when you say it was the best performance, you just factor in everything. And oh, by the way, it was a win or go home game. But if you look at what happened after they were down 17-0, they answered with 3 points, unable to get in the end zone, but they answered with 3 points. They ended up getting a touchdown when they needed a touchdown. Defense just bend, don't break all damn day. Defense put on an elite performance. And then in the second half, when they really needed points, there was only one time where they didn't get any. And you can make a case it might have been the best throw that Davis Mills made, perhaps, but Dalton Schultz drops an absolute dime on third down that would have definitely resulted in points. So the only time after they went down 17-0, the only time that they didn't come away with points on offense was after a Dalton Schultz drop, and then they ended up turning the ball over on downs. So he did everything that you could ask for. He did everything that you could have possibly needed. So I think big props to Davis Mills for doing what he did.
What I love about Mills is he acts almost like robotic in his memory of each throw. Like he makes a throw, and if he doesn't hit it, screw it. He'll try to attempt that same throw right away, the very next throw. Or if he makes a mistake, it doesn't. None of that stuff seems to linger with him at the quarterback spot, and he just kind of has that short memory that you hear that DBs need to have. It feels like he has it at the quarterback spot, and I mean, man, he just had some. He was letting it rip there in the second half. That pass to Nico over the middle, Nico Collins was incredible in this game. But that pass over the middle into traffic where Nico had the two guys on him, the pass to Schultz was for the touchdown was really good. Him and Higgins are on the same page for that score. I mean, he was really, really good, and they had to have that level of play from Davis Mills, or they probably are sitting here with a lost season on their hands.
Well, and the other thing that I think needs to be brought up that Davis Mills was doing, first of all, I would assume that he had pretty good grasp of the offensive line and what was going on. And I think the QB can make the O-line better. D'Amico said he was happy with all that. So you had that. He was avoiding sacks like at almost like an insane level. He was doing a good job of making the first guy miss. There was a few times where he played with fire a little bit, and perhaps Jacksonville could have perhaps made a play on a few of the balls. So I do think there's that gray area. But the other thing he was doing, and this was one of my big things on Friday, is he was forcing it to Nico Collins. Season high 15 targets. And you say it a lot. When Nico Collins is covered, he's still open. I think Davis Mills functioned like that. You can say that the statistics might be a little bit skewed because of the end of the second quarter Hail Mary. Yeah, but even then, Nico Collins was given every opportunity to make plays. And even when it appeared that he wasn't open, he went to him. I think the best example is that 2-point conversion. Without that, they don't win the game. And Davis Mills threw it there. Nico Collins caught it with one hand, and it ended up really being the difference in the game. I know it ended up being a 7-point game, but the Rankins touchdown, the game was over whether he scored or not. So I think that's another good thing that Davis Mills did that we've been asking for a lot, is just because Nico Collins is covered doesn't mean he's not open. And he gave him a chance to make plays. He made plays, and the offense kind of started with Nico Collins, and then it just kind of spread its way out.
Yeah, there was no spread it around to spread it around. There was get the ball to Nico Collins. If he's not open, I'm going to get the damn thing to Dalton Schultz. And if he's not open, maybe I'll find somebody else that's open. There was no like, oh, well, I have to get it to Christian Kirk and I have to get it to Xavier Hutchinson. Like, just take a wild guess at the percentage of offensive snaps that Xavier Hutchinson played in this game. Just like, because it feels like he played none. He played over 50%. He played over 50% of the snaps. But it's amazing how persona non grata he is when you're not, oh, well, I gotta spread it around because that's what the offense dictates. No, the offense dictates get the ball to Nico Collins, and if he's not open, get it to Dalton Schultz because those guys can go out there and make plays. And that's exactly what Davis did, and they mixed in the rookies to a really good degree in the passing game as well. So it was a really good job by Davis Mills with a lot of the things that he's in control of, in addition to dealing with all the other things that are extra around that. You talked about it a minute ago. His management of the pocket, yeah, there were some risky moments, and he had one where he spun out of pressure and threw a ball that was an incomplete pass on the sideline that I think if it was a little bit to the left, two different Jaguars would have intercepted it, but it was far enough outside that it was an incomplete pass. But I mean, he managed some of this pressure and some of the heat that the Jaguars put on him really well in the pocket and delivered and distributed to who needed to get the football.
Well, there are also a couple times where he had like chemistry with the receivers. You could tell there was one where it was just a perfect back shoulder to Nico on the sidelines, and it slowed up to where the DB had no chance. There was another one where the DB might have actually been in the right spot, but he threw it to his outside right shoulder. So he was just placing the ball very nicely. And I think it was this game. This performance wasn't as good as CJ against Tampa Bay 2 years ago, the game that always gets brought up, but it kind of had those vibes. Like it kind of had those vibes where the offense was just clicking. Like there was a play in that game where Schultz, it was a score, go home, basic situation, and he made the plays. It kind of had the same feel of that Tampa Bay game, and it was your backup quarterback, and it gives you a chance to survive. Shout out to TDECU for sponsoring Reaction Monday. If you want to get the new Texans debit card with that fresh new logo, all you got to do is go to TDECU.org/Texans. Cody, tell them what they get, because I know you got you one.
I got me one, and you should get one too. You're going to get 15% off Texans gear on the online team store with that TDECU Texans debit card. You're going to get access to exclusive tickets to events at NRG Stadium, and the perks keep on coming for members at TDECU. Membership's required, and they're insured by the NCUA, but your money gets taken care of to a much better degree when you put your money with TDECU than the other places you could put your money. Your credit union's not just a slogan. They're always working for you, giving you the best perks. And I got mine account with them opened up and signed up in less than 20 minutes, in and out the door. So there's 15 greater Houston area locations you can get signed up in, and they explain everything to you. You could do this kind of checking or that kind of checking, or this kind of savings. And they want your business accounts too. You run a business, they'll manage your business accounts over there at TDECU as well. So something for everybody, and just got to be a resident in the state of Texas to sign up at TDECU. You don't have to be in just the Houston area. All of our great audience across the state of Texas can sign up. You can get signed up right there online, TDECU.org/Texans. Membership
required and sure by NCUA. Let's hear from the people on Z Soup. You ain't never hate. Swarm. Logan Taylor says, Cody, what are you ordering Landry for his lost bet? Yes, I did lose the Trent Brown bet. I will have to eat a Cody when I was at my fattest meal, probably next Tuesday. We'll probably do this next Tuesday. So it was either going to be him have to fast for 24 hours or me having to eat a when he was at his fattest fast food order. We haven't decided the restaurant yet. So maybe maybe you don't. Where am I eating when I was at my fattest from you?
Well, I'm glad that you asked. I'm going to let fate decide for you. I got McDonald's and I got Whataburger here, and both of them are just significant meals. So we'll let the little spinner spin, and whichever it ends up on, that's what you'll end up with. Ooh, is it going to be McDonald's? Oh, it snuck into Whataburger for you. Okay. So at my fattest, Whataburger.
I've witnessed this one.
Oh, see, I think I've had fatters. I think I've had fatter than the one you're talking about. And the tough one is I can't get you breakfast if we do it in the middle of the day. But yeah, it's going to be an all-time favorite. One of the all-time favorites. I'll let you choose which all-time favorite you want. In the back of the day, it would have been an A1 thick and hearty burger, obviously. And then it's going to be a double meat, cheese, and mustard only, large French fry and large onion rings.
Oh my God. The onion rings. God. Okay. All right. So an all-time favorite, a dub, and onion rings and fries. Gotcha. All right. We'll see.
And a large drink of your choice.
Now it should be noted that while Cody did win this bet because Trent Brown played over 35 snaps, he did need an x-ray on his foot after the game, and he was not walking very smoothly. So I feel like I went down in a glorious defeat and didn't have to eat too much crow.
Yeah, we'll talk about Trent Brown plenty over the course of this show, I'm sure.
Yeah, we'll get to the key moments, and it's going to start with weird offensive line movement. Tazewell asks, honest question: do they still win that with CJ?
It's a good question. We won't know the answer to it. But I have a sneaky suspicion that the mood, the mentality might have been feeling a little bit different. But at the same time, it's not like the offense was full of failures to the point where like CJ would have had an opportunity to be really down on himself or down on the offense. Like the special teams messed up mostly early on. They were barely on the field to start the game. Then they came in there and they punted after that. And then they ended up with 3. They finally get it to 10. It's like, I don't know. I don't. The mentality would be my question is would CJ have would 2025 CJ have the right mentality to create this comeback?
See, my thing is this. I think it required an elite effort to be able to win that game. So, I mean, is CJ Stroud capable of elite efforts? Yes. So, I mean, could they have? Yes. But I think I think there's a certain portion of people that are so dug in and so defensive about anything that you say about CJ Stroud, where if you say something like, well, this was the best quarterback performance of the year, then it's almost treated as if Davis Mills was the reason that they got so far behind. Yes, he threw an interception, but special teams is the reason that happened. Like it wasn't like Davis Mills went out there in the first half and threw 5 interceptions or something like that, and then had to like bail himself out. They could have won it with CJ Stroud. I just don't. The problem when you start having this conversation is you got to acknowledge that CJ Stroud wasn't going to help the special teams. So the special teams already put you behind. Like it's not. It's one thing to say that Davis Mills is not as good as CJ Stroud, but I mean the hole that they were in had very little to do with Davis Mills.
Right. I mean, he handed him 3 with the interception. But
yes, but he didn't hand him 17 with special teams.
Yeah, special teams handed him another 14.
Yes. So, yeah, I think they could have won it with CJ. We've seen CJ have efforts like this. But, I mean, how much did the team feed off of Davis Mills' energy when they were down? And we've kind of seen CJ when they get down, and he gets even more down. So, don't know. Fortunately, they have CJ Stroud, and we know that he's better than Davis Mills. Just that effort yesterday, it just might have been right guy, right time, right place, all that, just a perfect storm.
Sure.
Yemang94 says Andrew's blood on the ball was the magic we needed.
Apparently, there were moments where it was even bloodier from Andrews. I talked to him after the game about it. He said, yeah, I looked down a couple of times. My entire hand was red, and I just kind of kept wiping it off. So apparently can't wear gloves down there in the trenches. So
Sean James says Davis Mills must have known Nick Caley's job was in danger because he has the only neck long enough to smell the firing weeks away.
Boy, there was a big list of people that people were writing pink slips for when it was 17-0.
Tay Rodriguez says, win or lose, I love the content. Did anyone ask about the RG spot? It doesn't take a coach to see the starter. This game was not an NFL starter. This would have been wild if we had lost. Do we want to get into that now, or do we want to wait for the key moments? Because that was one of the stupidest experiments that I've ever seen in my entire life. And whoever decided that should be ashamed of themselves. And quite frankly, I don't think Sidney South should be on the team anymore. Like at this point, like what is he doing here? Like, City suck. He should not be on the team anymore. Like he went out there for 2 series. It was an absolute disaster. I don't know why they hate Juice Scruggs so much, but this guy does not need to be on the team.
No, I agree.
That was weird as hell. Whoever made that decision, why?
It was absolutely within the realm of possibility once they promoted him from the practice squad. We got that notice over the weekend. And then they go out there and they line it up in pregame, and they're lined up with Ariante Ursery at left tackle, Jake Andrews at center, and then 3 different bodies at left guard, and right tackle. At left guard, it was Patterson, and at right tackle, it was Trent Brown, and then at right guard, it was City So, who is a practice squad guard who was a starter 2 years ago for one of the worst Patriots offensive lines of all time, and was a backup player for the Patriots last year, and they signed him as a free agent, put him on the practice squad earlier this year, and he'd been on the practice squad with no real chance to play until, I think you could put 2 and 2 together and see maybe which 2 guys might have had a thought that the former Patriots guard had something in this one.
Pop, lock, and drop it. Pop, lock, and drop it. Nick.
Yeah, I think so too. My favorite thing about this whole thing was last week we caught a glimpse of him being out there, and me, you, and another guy in the media were talking about this, and we were like, surely they're not really doing that. Like, that was just like weird, like something was going on, like they weren't really going to try this. And I'll be damned if they try it. And you noticed, because you were watching, and you said on X, you said, yeah, this is the first lineup that has lined up on the offensive line. And then I saw that you kind of got questioned because the Alpha.
Hey, bro. Alpha Aaron here.
The Alpha puts this tweet up, and it says, Texans first offensive line during warmups: left tackle Ariante Ursery, left guard Laken Tomlinson, center Jake Andrews, right guard Sidney So, and Blake Fisher, and right tackle Blake Fisher. Well, if you look at the left guard, that guy's white.
That guy's white. His number is 54. So that's Jarrett Patterson at left guard.
And Aaron tweeted that it was yeah. And I don't even know if this was necessarily even the first, but he put the picture up of it. And in the comments, someone said, damn, I didn't know Laken Tomlinson was white. This is big news here.
Yeah. Yeah. I
mean, hey, bro, Alpha Aaron here.
That's what they lined up with. And thank God they bailed on that idea. What was it? 9 plays into this thing? Like, yeah. I mean, City So, I think, got credited for nine snaps in this one. Good job of whoever went over there and sat his ass down and put Juice Scruggs back in there. And if I'm Juice Scruggs, man, I think I walk off the field every week asking, how come they don't love me no more?
Trey Calhoun 7991 says, I'm not saying Davis is better than CJ, because he's not, but I don't think CJ would have led us to a comeback yesterday like Davis did. I think he's been too beaten down mentally, and it's affected him. Fair.
I agree.
I mean, you have to be elite to lead that comeback. Like, it takes an elite effort to score a touchdown on 3rd and 10, 3rd and 3, convert a 2-point conversion, and then run a touchdown in on 3rd and goal from the 14. That is an elite effort, no matter what. Like, no matter who you are, that is an elite effort. So he would have had to be freaking awesome for that to happen.
Yeah. And CJ possesses that ability, certainly.
Shout out to HDAV Traveler. Rumor is he might be at Spanky's in 2 weeks, which, by the way, we'll be there this Friday. Mm-hmm. Shout out to Spanky's. We will be there. And this is going to be fun because we're going to be talking about 2 games in 6 days, with the Titans on Sunday and then the Bills on Thursday. And then the day after the Bills, we're going to be reacting to that. So we got Spanky's this Friday. We got Spanky's the Friday after that. We want you out there, the Sharpstown location, homemade dough, homemade sauce. Always a fun gathering with everyone. We got the regs. We want you to, if you haven't joined us there, join us there. It's a fun time to talk about Texans football, and it's always a good time to eat some Spanky's. Absolutely.
And I saw this post from Spanky's for tomorrow. If you're a veteran, happy Veterans Day to you. You're going to get some free lasagna at Spanky's tomorrow in honor of Veterans Day. So all the details are on their social media, but they're supporting our veterans, and they will support you with fantastic pizza this Friday afternoon. Arrive at 3, live at 4.
Wags says, greetings, brothers. Great team win. Happy Monday. Happy Monday to you. It's always better when they win.
Good to see you.
Abjack says, are we going to get number 77 reporting eligible now? Are we going to see him on the field?
I do believe, and nobody's confirmed this to me, but you could put all the pieces together. I do believe that part of the reason they started Trent Brown is because he can't do the reporting eligible stuff that Blake Fisher does.
And he's also better at tackle.
But we didn't know that. Like you maybe had the sneaky suspicion.
We know now.
Right, we know now. But again, the decision-making process.
For how long?
The decision-making process to get to that decision, they could have suspected that he's better than Fisher at right tackle, and then that he can't do the reporting eligible stuff like Fisher. So if he starts, they still get Fisher reporting eligible as an option.
Sean James says Whataburger equals Texas Sonic. Isn't Sonic Texas Sonic?
I don't think they have the variety to be considered in the Sonic class. Sonic has so many different things.
Wag says, would y'all do a watch party? I got to pay too much attention to games, so it's too much for me.
Maybe in the preseason next year.
Viromaniac says, happy for the win, but can't let it shadow the 3 quarters of bad outside the defense football. Also, those refs sucked.
The defense had some bad moments there in the third quarter.
Yeah, they got kind of picked on a little bit in the one drive in the third quarter. I don't think the offense was bad in the
They threw the interception to start, then they punted.
But in the second quarter on, they were fine. There's only one time where they didn't come away with points, and it was a result of a Dalton Schultz drop. So I would disagree with that. It's weird because it almost feels like the way it started, it's almost looked at as, well, Davis Mills, yeah, he only played good in the second half. No, he had a bad first drive, and then after that, the special teams just completely went to shit, and all of a sudden you're down 17 points despite the Jags having 68 points. I think like kind of just the moment just kind of it gets away from people as to what Davis Mills did and why the Texans didn't get in a hole because of the offense, the defense. The defense had a few bad moments. The offense had a few bad moments. The reason this was even a ball game was because the special teams sucked.
Yeah, and this is how they finished the game, by the way. Like once they finally put points on the board, it was field goal, touchdown. Then they had the 30, 20 seconds, whatever it was, for the end of half. And then they started in the second half with the turnover on downs because Dalton Schultz dropped the 3rd and 5. And then they went touchdown to finish on offense. So, I mean, they handled their business after they finally got the special teams to settle down and stop putting them in tough positions.
Yes, correct. The refs, as far as the refs, I thought they may have missed a Higgins pass interference in the end zone. I think that could have been a pass interference right before the Schultz drop.
Rookie move by Higgins. He's got to sell that a little more.
Yeah, so there was that. What other calls are we complaining about? As far as the officials sucked, the Autry, did they not think they held him to 3 regardless? So it was a no harm, no foul. I guess you got to leave the center alone in the Autry situation. But I'm trying to think like what other calls could there be complaining about? I
mean, I thought Henry committed pass interference both the times he got called for it. So.
Yeah, but the Higgins, I mean, that's a big miss if it's a miss in the end zone. I mean, that's a score, so I can see that.
And let's be pretty clear here. They committed the penalty, so the ref saw it and called it, but a penalty from this referee crew bailed the Texans out there at the very end. Like the hands to the face. Like they saw it, they called the something that, I mean, have we seen a hands to the face called before this game this year? I don't remember.
Jay says, Cody and Landry, could you guys find out what's with Kalen Bullock poor tackling this season? I don't think it's like some sort of mystery. I think he's just over pursuing and he's I mean, on the one that you're talking about, I'm assuming you're talking about the 3rd and 17 where he just just chop the feet. And then, I mean, there's no hurry there. He acted like the first down was 2 yards away. Just stay at home. There's no hurry there.
I understand that. I understand that's a tight end and he's not the biggest safety in the world, but you've got to make a better effort on that than he did.
Yeah, maybe it was too much effort. Like, just kind of have a little bit more feel, but who knows? Wag says, "What's up with these Pat O-line guys? No scouts." I don't know. The city so is the worst thing we've seen. I got a feeling Sean Pendergast is the most mad about this. Texans Collective tonight at 6.
Yeah, the city so. Not only did that, you used a promotion on it. Like you could have had a different football player that could have helped you in a different way. Like once they benched him after 9 snaps of offense, that was it. That was it. Like you couldn't use him again.
AAZIA Fat One says, "It was nice seeing you at Cattleman's, Cody. Would Stroud and Mertz been able to lead the comeback?"
I have no idea about Graham Mertz, and we talked about the Stroud one. I was look, anytime Davis took a big hit though, I was a little worried that we were going to have to see some Mertz action.
I mean, when you saw his elbow, it was like, holy crap. We'll get into it when we get into the big moments in a sec. But there were a couple scary moments for Davis Mills. Rich Boy J says the Texans all Landry team. Okay, this will be interesting. Keon Slovis, that's Cody's boy. Jordan Reed, Sidney Sow, and 4 white tight ends named Dalton.
Race car!
Zachary C says 5D chess by the O-line getting those flags on the final drive gave the Jags 0 time to score.
Yeah, definitely not intentional. Definitely not.
Danny says this game feeds the Landry, Will Anderson Jr., and Hunter sack in the same game propaganda. 6-2 now when they both get sacks. The only 2 losses have been kind of tough break for them. So yeah, now 6-2. And we'll get to Danielle Hunter in a sec. I got a feeling he's going to be a king of the turf. I don't want to spoil and eliminate the speculation, but I would sense that Danielle Hunter will be a king of the turf presented by the greatness that is Texans Turf. I don't know. Could be wrong. Well, with Cody's list, who the hell knows? He might give Sidney So one. Wag says, who are the O-line? What is the O-line personnel moving forward? I don't know if Trent Brown's going to be able to play Sunday. I don't want to make a bet on it, but I don't know if Trent Brown's going to be able to play Sunday.
Would you like to put a wager on one additional at my fattest item? I could throw a Just-A-Burger in there for you.
No, I'm good. But yeah, if the O-line was healthy, I mean, do you put Titus Howard back at guard and leave Trent Brown at tackle?
They believed Titus was better than at Ingram, so I'd try Titus at right guard and I'd try Trent Brown at right tackle. I thought Brown had the best right tackle performance of anybody this year.
He's such a massive freaking human being, dude. God damn. It's yesterday, the interview that you had with him, he's freaking sitting down and it looks like he's nose to nose.
Yeah, but he's not a short guy, that's for sure.
Wag says an observation, where was CJ? We saw Tank Dell. Titus was there too. Don't know. Well,
sometimes depending on where you are in the concussion protocol, you aren't allowed to be on the field.
Yeah, it just kind of depends. Who knows?
My speculation is Titus is further along in concussion protocol based on how much we've seen Titus than CJ Stroud. We haven't seen CJ Stroud.
When? Like, you haven't seen him since when?
I haven't seen CJ Stroud since he got concussed.
I saw him today. You didn't see him?
I didn't see him.
Yeah, I saw him. He's walking. Big news. He's walking.
Okay, well, he didn't hurt it. His knee didn't get concussed. His head got concussed.
Oh, he was picking out his color of socks. So how about that?
Okay. Well, he can see colors. That's a progression.
There you go.
Start him Sunday. Let's go, damn it.
Unless he didn't want the black socks and he really wanted the white. Now, that would be a problem.
That hit so hard he didn't see colors anymore.
Yeah,
everything's Technicolor.
Shout out to TDECU. Speaking of CJ Stroud, he's got that fresh Texans new debit card. So does Cody Stutes. You can get it tdecu.org/Texans. Get that 15% off at the team shop. It is Reaction Monday presented by TDECU. Let's go to the landlock key moments. And there were some big ones, Cody. We start with the very beginning, the offensive line. Now we saw the no surprises on the inactives, but it was very surprising who they started on the offensive line. I think we can all agree whoever's decision this was to start Sidney So, that was one of the dumbest things that could have possibly happened. Fortunately for them, regardless of who decided it and who decided to end it, they didn't let it go on too long. And if they had, I don't know that they win this game, quite frankly. But whoever stopped it, salute to you. Unless it was the guy who decided to start it, but it was a dumb decision to put this guy out there. And I don't think he should be on the team. I think he should be cut. You can't trust him for 2 series to hold it down. I think he should be cut.
Whoever decided to clean up the mess, good job on you. And if you had to clean up your own mess, shame on you for even putting yourself in that position. So that was just, I'm sitting there and I was sitting there with Adam Wexler, and I said, Wexler going to do it. And he's like, no, they're not. And I was like, he's active. Like, they brought him up for the practice squad. They didn't do that to make him a backup. Like, he's going to start. And then they line up, and Wexler and I were just laughing. Like, we were just sitting there laughing. That he's like, oh my God, they're going to do this. I said, yep, they're going to do it.
Right off the top, you had the interception from Davis Mills. Now, I will say this.
Captain Kirk has arrived. I repeat, Captain Kirk has arrived.
Maybe come back for the ball a little bit, Christian Kirk. Like, I'm not saying that it was a great throw, but like you could make some sort of effort. Like, I mean, if the football were a soft tissue injury, you would have at least come back for it. Like, come back for the ball, man.
Damn.
Come back for the ball, man. That's not the best start that we want to see. You gotta come back for the rock a little bit, right?
That's that was their backup nickel corner, by the way. And he had that thing pegged. I mean, he saw it, and man, good job by the Jaguars on that play.
Yeah, and I thought this was a good a key moment, very key moment actually, when you look back at how the game went played. The Texans not once but twice they hold the Jags to 3. First time they stop them, then Autry gets the penalty. Special teams continues to. This was the start of special teams being god awful. And then the Texans hold again, just textbook job of making the tackle. And they hold the Jags to 3-0, and you get out kind of no harm, no foul. Well, there's harm, but there's minimal harm by the Texans, and the defense holds not once but twice.
That's among the best results that you could have hoped for once Davis Mills throws that interception. It's just, if they're going to put points on the board, just let it be 3. Just let it be 3 points.
And then the special teams continue. So you get the 15-yard penalty, which the defense overcomes. This time, Tremont Smith with a fumble. And then Parker Washington, who for some reason, I don't know if the Jags really think he's as good of a football player as I do, but he scores a touchdown, kind of turns MJ Stewart around a little bit, and the Jags take a 10-0 lead. And right at that point, you can kind of feel the crowd getting a little bit frustrated with the Texans. This was when the boos started.
Yeah, I mean, you're less than halfway into the first quarter, and you're down 10-0 because you've handed them 10 points.
Then the Boo Birds do arrive. The Texans, they get a couple of first downs, but then Blake Fisher gets a hold. Then you have a terrible fumble, just absolute goofiness. And then the Texans end up punting, and the 10-0 lead remains going into the second quarter. Nothing major there. We get to the third drive. Daniil Hunter gets a sack. There would be plenty more where that came from. Then there was basically a tap out screen. And then the Texans, the offense not doing their thing. Davis Mills gets sacked. There was a delay of game. And then Washington returns the punt to the end zone, and it's 17-0, and it looks like this has potential to get very ugly.
Tommy Townsend kicked the living crap out of this football. And they just had
they're probably
perfect,
surprised.
They had like a little perfect lane right through the middle, and Parker Washington knew he was scoring by about midfield. Like, it did not take long for him to realize this thing's going to the house. And man, awful lanes, awful tackling, awful fight off a block, awful everything on the special teams.
Yeah,
Awful.
and it just this is the worst. This is the worst the special teams has looked in the Frank Ross era. Then we go to the Texans. You need points here. You're down 3 possessions, and they would give you points, but it would be a little bit familiar. Jalen Knoll with a nice long toss, little rollout play from Davis Mills, got the offense going a little bit. Then Woody Marks burst into the red zone, so you get the rookie 2-piece combo. Then a really high pass by Davis Mills, and then on 3rd and goal, he goes to Nico Nomas. So much like we've seen all year from the Texans, they needed points. So you made it a 2-possession game, but again, you settle for a field goal, kind of more of what we'd seen leading up to this game. But the Texans do cut the lead to 17-3.
Yep, and it's a good job to get points. You definitely would have obviously preferred 7 there, but they had to get something. They had to respond to that special teams blunder with something positive, and that was a pretty decent drive to do it.
Then MJ Stewart goes down. He's going to be done for the season with a quad injury per D'Amico Ryans. A dumb penalty by Kamari Lassiter. If you're going to hit your head, just run past the guy. Don't look down at him. And I think he immediately knew he kind of screwed up there because he was like, "Oh, my bad." But not the greatest thing that he did. And then a weird challenge by D'Amico Ryans. They would have gotten the field goal anyways. An interesting challenge to say the very least. But the Texans defense once again holds the Jags to a field goal. So the 17-point lead reemerges and is 20-3 Jags.
That's a good job to keep it to a field goal because it could have got out of hand there if they're able to have an extended drive or a long drive. And, you helped them out a little bit there by giving them a bunch of yards on the penalties.
Then I thought this is where Davis Mills really started cooking. We would see Davis Mills at his best after this. So he had the rollout that they used with Knoll. They go to the other rookie. This time he hits Higgins on an 11-yard rollout. Then I thought this was a really pretty throw, pretty communication. Nico Collins back shoulder, just kind of perfect right there on the sidelines. Nico Collins for 19. Then a penalty by Travon Walker, 15-yard penalty. I'll be honest, these are always kind of weird to me, but it did seem like he put a little rock bottom into Davis Mills. I thought Davis Mills kind of showed some toughness here. We'd already seen his arm kind of sleeved up with the softball coming out of it. And then right after Travon Walker basically power bombs him onto the turf, he hits Nico Collins to the 3-yard line. And then they have the pop played to Woody Marks to make it 20-10.
The Woody Marks play was fantastic. They get in the red zone and actually able to score. That was great to see. That roughing the passer play was only possible because Trent Brown, he went to cut block Travon Walker and he didn't get close. And I don't know why a big fella like Trent Brown's ever trying to cut block somebody.
He's got to take an Uber to cut block someone.
That was one of those where it's like, okay, it hadn't been bad now, but is it going to get really bad there with Trent Brown over there at right tackle? But he held up nicely after that. But yeah, I mean, if that's not a roughing the passer, the drive probably dies.
No doubt. No doubt. And that my impressiveness from that, because I understand the complaint of the call, but my most impressive thing from it is the fact that Davis Mills on the very next play was able to find Nico down to the 3. After getting the shit knocked out of him on a free shot. So that's the impressiveness there. But as far as the call itself, I mean, that's tough. If that happened to Danielle Hunter or Will Anderson, I don't know that you can really justify it. I will say Travon Walker's been known to get knucklehead penalties against the Texans, though. Some of them deserve, some of them not. But yeah, on that one.
Was it bot? Did the announcers? It was JJ and Eagle. I know it was that, but
AJ was a little more forgiving of it than he typically would be if it were, let's say, the Steelers or anyone else. He kind of had a little bit more understanding of it than he normally would, but he did he did acknowledge that as a defensive lineman, that's a tough call to see.
My guess is that they used the body weight standard, and that's what they were saying was the reason, because he flapjacked him.
Yep. So the next play, final play, really of big moment of the first half. I think when we look back, I think this is going to be the play that perhaps changed things, because you talk about giving the Jags points on special teams, which the Texans did. This one, you take away 3 with the Derek Stingley one-handed interception. They're arguably in field goal range, and Derek Stingley makes a one-handed interception. The guy with the best hands on the team. It's amazing sometimes when he misses the INTs he does. I think Patrick Ding brought that up the other day. Like, man, Derek Stingley just can't. I'm like, man, he's got the best hands on the team. And I've talked about like the one-handed stuff that he does, but this play was huge because it's nice when you give away points to take some back, and that's what they did.
Yeah, that was the one-handed rip, and I felt like the Jaguars' operation that whole drive was kind of like it felt very like stop and start, and it didn't seem like they were in too big of a hurry. I know they had their timeouts, but yeah, great job by Stingley to rip 3 out of the air.
Yeah, so you go in at halftime and you're down 20-10. You got to feel okay about that.
I mean, it felt Seahawks-ish to me. Like it's a miracle they're only down 10.
Yeah. And then in the first drive of the second half, the Jags 3 again, 23-10. And then the Texans with a chance to make it a one-possession game. This was the only time they didn't score since it was 17-0 on a drive. And this would go down as the only time. Davis Mills on 3rd and 4, just an absolute dime to Dalton Schultz, and Dalton Schultz drops it. He probably would have gotten in the red zone because he had a full stride going. At that point, it kind of felt like, man, this sucks, because they went for it on 4th, and then they had a pass breakup. But that felt like that could be the moment where we look back and say that was the opportunity that they had to get back in the game. But I'll be damned, there's plenty more to get to with the moments.
Well, my thought was, I was like, okay, I get going for it. You need the spark, you need this, and when they didn't get it, I was like, well, if Jacksonville scores here, this one's probably over. The famous last words of a fool.
So then Jacksonville, they score a touchdown, and this one I thought they just completely picked on the Texans' weaknesses on defense. And I know this is a really good defense, but they do have the highest missed tackle percentage in the league. On 3rd and 17, Kalen Bullock just completely runs by the tight end, and Jags pick up. Then a near interception by Stingley doesn't happen, and then you just have them picking on the linebackers. There was a bad moment by Azeez. There were bad moments by Henry Toto, and the Jags take the 29-10 lead.
If you said it was over at that point, I certainly wouldn't have blamed you. 19 points, that felt like they were not going to score that much. And you knew at that point the defense, after they got worked on that drive, it's like, well, they got to be basically perfect from this moment on. And they've got to force a bunch of punts. And, well, we'll get to it, I guess.
Yeah, we get to it because then Davis Mills cooking again. I mean, this was a quick response that you needed. Nick Chubb, by the way, pretty good game by him, 19 yards. Then Dalton Schultz moves the chains. Then Davis Mills, hell of a job avoiding a sack. Nico Collins for 8. Then on 4th and 2, oh my God, you put Jalen Noel in motion and you use his speed to move the chains on 4th down. How about that? This guy who couldn't even get on the field, and you're trusting him on 4th down. So good job by Nick Caley. Then 3rd and 10, the Texans, to avoid a delay of game, they call timeout. D'Amico calls the timeout. But on the next play, Mills finds Higgins, and then he finds Nico Collins in the corner for the 2-pointer, one-handed. And we have a 2-possession game, 29-18 Jags, whose offense, by the way, I think the Jags had 1 net yard in 9 plays in the 4th quarter.
That sounds about right. That one-handed 2-point conversion from Nico Collins is one of the sickest catches we'll see all year long.
Yeah, which one-handed catch was better, his or Stingley's?
I think Nico's was better because
He didn't
he didn't
bother using the second hand even afterwards. It was just toop, toop.
Yeah, I think Nico's was better because he had the restriction of the area. Like he had to catch the ball, secure the ball, get it in before he was out of bounds, and had to maintain. Like Stingley had the whole field to work with once he got his hands on the ball.
Then Daniil Hunter continues to do what he does. He blew the F up a run, and then on third down he gets a sack. I think it's safe to say Daniil Hunter was the best football player on the field yesterday. I don't even know if that's even close. He had his best game as a Texan for sure. And then the Texans immediately respond. Davis Mills cooking. Collins with a huge catch up the middle. Woody Marks with a nice run. And then 3rd and 3, another timeout by D'Amico. Didn't support this one, especially given the fact that you just scored 3rd and 10, but he kills the timeout. And then Davis Mills finds Dalton Schultz, and the Texans cut the lead to 5, 29-24.
Yeah, didn't get the 2-point conversion, but that Schultz play was a really good play by Dalton and good find by Mills. And
good throw too.
And that point, you're like, okay, like, is the defense going to get him in position again? Like, it's all up to the defense now because Mills had gotten 2 opportunities and him and the offense have taken care of their opportunities. So, like, is the defense going to do it for him one more time? Sure enough, they did.
And the answer is yes, they would. Trevor Lawrence gets his pass batted down by Azeez Al-Shire on 3rd and 4. And then the Texans get the ball with a chance to win. And at this point, I'm kind of wondering, do they need to kind of hurry since they only have one timeout? Like, does there need to be like any sense of hurrying on the back end of the 2-minute warning? The answer for me would have been yes, but it actually worked out for them. And a big part of that was they were able to run the ball. And I think that was big that they were able to run the ball. So on 3rd and 10, Dalton Schultz, 21-yard gain. Then you get Marks for 5, Marks for 6, moves the chains, then Marks for 5. Then Higgins goes up and gets it. Then Nick Chubb with 12 yards, then Nick Chubb for 6. Then Marks moves the chains on a little pop play. And then you had a pass interference, Christian Kirk right there at the 2-yard line. And then the offensive line it looks like they're just completely melting down. Trent Brown with the false start. Ursery gets a false start. And then on 3rd and goal from the 14, Davis Mills scores. And that's pretty much all that she wrote. Sheldon Rankins adds an FU touchdown at the end, but just absolute insane game from the offensive from Davis Mills.
Yeah, so to your point about that final offensive drive from the Texans, it was a portion of the game where it was like, if this thing is not going to end up in a touchdown, you're not going to get the ball back. Like, you don't have the opportunity to stop the clock enough to get the ball back once it got to a certain point. So it's like, okay, now it really is, you're going to either win or lose on this drive, because when Jacksonville gets it back, if you don't score, you're not getting the rock after them. They'll just kneel it out. But that scramble was great. It's funny. Trent Brown, he said after the game, he's like, yeah, I had a couple of mistakes. Like, the penalty's really bad for me. And then I just kind of didn't do a good job. And I kind of mentally said to Davis, go sacrifice your body, get out of there. Because if you watch the play, Trent Brown's guy is the one that I think Davis kind of senses the pressure and just kind of says, all right, here we go. They gave me the lane. Let's do it. And he scrambled out there. And that's one hell of a play from Mills on 3rd down. One hell of a play. And then Will Anderson with the sack, and then ultimately Rankins gets the glory on that, but Anderson had the sack to end it.
Yes, he did. Let's hear from Trent Brown here on Reaction Monday. We haven't heard from him all year. Hadn't really been a reason to talk to him, but we'll hear from him. By the way, if you're just tuning in, I have to eat the when I was at my fattest meal next Tuesday. I have to eat an all-time favorite, a double meat, a large fry, a large onion ring, and then a large drink. So, okay. We'll see how that goes. But I think Trent Brown could do that probably in about 5 minutes. But let's hear what Trent Brown had to say here on Reaction Monday, presented by the greatness that is TDECU.
How's that one feel, man? You've been a part of some big games, but as far as being here, how's that one feel to get that one done?
With that being my first one, man, I was excited I know I made it hard on us, just give it the offsides at the end right there, but it was good to see us dig down and still make it happen for us.
What's it mean to you after how last season went, all the work you had to do to get back out here to get this opportunity?
It means everything. It's been a year and 2 months since I've been able to step on that field on a Sunday. And it was just I was glad to see that the work that I put in didn't go in vain. You know what I mean? I came and showed up big time for us in a win that we really needed. And I was just glad that the team played well. We played I think we played complimentary football today.
Tough first half. What's kind of conversation there as that first half ends, kind of lingers in the third quarter? What's kind of conversation to turn the corner?
Just competitive stamina, keep chipping away, keep chopping wood. I mean, the game's never over to the last whistle, you know what I mean? So anything can happen. Just got to put our head down and go to work.
What did you think of the performance that Davis had today and what he was able to do for you guys?
He stepped up big. He stepped up huge in a huge way. Super proud of him. I lost my way right there on that last set, the one he scored, but I was crazy because I told him, I was like, man, I hope he didn't just move, Davis. Don't sit back there. Sacrifice, go win, sacrifice your body. So he did that. It's like telekinesis, I guess.
What can you say about what you guys are able to do as the offensive line? I know there's been some struggles with the team, got a lot of guys in and out. You're getting your first crack at it in over a year. Are you kind of proud of this performance on the offensive line, how you guys finished?
I think it's just attention to detail and the will to finish. Coach challenged us this week to finish in the red zone. I think we did a better job. We got to cut down on some of the penalties, but I think we did a way better job of finishing drives and coming away with 6 instead of 3.
We were just talking to Jake over there, and I said, what changed for you guys in particular from the first half to the second half when you guys seemingly were able to kind of wear down that Jag defense? And he just said we weren't stepping on our toes. Was there anything else that you guys felt at the line of scrimmage that you were able to take advantage of when you got going?
I know I was noticing that even with it being my first game back, they were tired and I wasn't. And so that kind of just gives you a little energy. And I was trying to talk to the group and motivate them and tell them, like, hey, lock in, let's go. Like, we can do this. You know what I mean? And so we showed up big. It's still a lot of room for improvement as a whole group, but we got a big win today.
Big stuff from him. And I was wrong. I did not think he could play a whole football game. He played a whole football game, and I'll be damned. We'll see. I got a feeling he's going to be on the injury report Wednesday, but I'm not a doctor or anything like that. We do know that he had an X-ray, but he was a big part of what they did, and they needed every ounce of it. So if he doesn't play again for a while, his work is done.
Yeah, it's if that's all Trent Brown gives you this year, then Trent Brown gave you an A+ performance for what was the potential for him to give you and what was the expectation for him to give you.
All right, well, let's go to the Texans Turf, Kings of the Turf. Let Dan do for you what he did for me. My backyard's looking great, looking fantastic. I cannot wait to fire up the fire pit. If you want to get in the turf game just in time for the holidays, go to TexansTurf.com. He is the best. I shopped around for you. He's done the biggest jobs in town. He does common backyards like mine, playing area, putting surfaces. It increases the value of your home. Your neighbors will be jealous. Always green, always clean. Enjoy those weekends in your yard instead of sitting there outside having to do all that yard work. TexansTurf.com. Shout out to Dan the Man.
All right, the Kings of the Turf this week. I don't think there's really any big surprises here. Danielle Hunter with the incredible performance that he had, with the 3.5 sacks, the stops, the tackles for a loss, so on and so forth. Nico Collins is super impressive with the targets, the receptions that he did have. Even if you take out the long one at the end of half, he still had a really good day. And Mills was looking to him in some big moments and some key moments. And then Davis Mills himself is going to be the other king of the turf. 3 kings of the turf here, and Davis Mills, the performance that he put together, joins C.J. Stroud and Deshaun Watson as the only Texans quarterbacks to throw for 285 or more yards, throw for 2 touchdowns, and run for a touchdown. So one of these things is not like the others. Davis Mills, Nico Collins, and Danielle Hunter, your kings of the turf this week. There
we go. So shout out to them. Let's get some context from Cody Cody Stutes here on Reaction Monday, presented by TDECU. It is time for Cody's Context.
You mentioned the 15 targets for Nico Collins. That's a season high. That also ties his career high with 15 targets, which was last year against the Jaguars at home in that matchup between the Texans and the Jaguars. That's the way this offense should operate more often. Like 15 targets, and he should get 15 targets a game. Like there's nobody that's close enough to him in the receiving talent that they shouldn't just murder the stat sheet trying to get him as many targets as possible. So that's a really good job by Davis Mills to go out there and get it to Nico Collins. And sometimes he was forcing it to Collins and it worked out. And it's a good job. Texans scored a touchdown on 4 of their 5 final real possessions. So it's a good job there by them. They got the touchdown there in the second quarter after the field goal drive. Then they had that wasn't a real possession, the end of half right there. They had just a couple of seconds and had the big throw. Then they had the turnover on downs. Then it was touchdown, touchdown, touchdown. So touchdowns on 4 of their final 5 drives, which is really impressive. Touchdown on 4 of their 5 red zone trips, which again, they stink in the red zone, but they were much better in this one. The only time that's come anywhere close to happening this season was when they were dominating the Baltimore Ravens. So really good job there. And then how about a couple of defensive stats for you? Matt Stafford's 245 passing yards earlier this year is still the high mark against this Texans defense. They've allowed less than 200 passing yards to the opposing quarterback 5 times, and in 3 straight games, they've allowed less than 200 passing yards this year, and they have an interception in 7 straight games as well.
I'm not trying to get ahead of myself. We've laid out the 5-5 stuff. That's Cody's Context here on Reaction Monday, presented by TDECU. But you start looking at the Indianapolis Colts, and I'm not looking at this from the perspective that the Texans are going to have a chance to win the division or anything like that. But I look at it from the perspective that if the Texans beat Indianapolis the first time, there's a chance they beat them twice this year, because Indianapolis might not have anything to play for in the final week of the season, which you could have. So it's kind of an interesting situation where I think best case scenario, you split with Indianapolis, like if you face them at a decent time. But this first game is important because there's a chance they're not going to have anything to play for in the final game of the season. But I'm bringing that up because if they do get to 5-5, they're going to have to finish 4-3 or 5-2 during a tough stretch of the schedule. But the one thing that the Texans also do well, on top of the quarterbacks containing them, is they stop the run pretty decently. Mm-hmm. And with Indianapolis, I think it's very obvious that Jonathan Taylor is the guy that the straw that stirs the drink. So I do look at that as, if you can win that first one, you damn sure might win too, because the last one might not mean a damn thing. They're very fortunate. Because I think if you played, if you switched when you play the Jags versus when you play the Colts, I don't know that this goes the way that it did, but it's almost laid out perfectly for you now, to where if you can just lean on the defense and figure that out, then might be able to make some sort of noise. I don't know.
Yeah, you got to take care of Tennessee this weekend, obviously, and then you get the short week with Buffalo, but Buffalo looks inherently more beatable than they did a month ago, and that's at home on a short week, and we all saw what D'Amico Ryans did to Josh Allen last year. And so we'll see what the defense can do. And then, you get these 2 cracks at the Colts and some of the other AFC or some of the other home games down the stretch there. Not the most impressive teams, the Raiders, the Cardinals. That Chargers game looks like it's going to have a lot more meaning than it looked like it was going to have a few weeks ago. So it's a tough stretch, but if you catch the Colts and punch them in the mouth in Indy in late November, you're gonna be right there in the thick of things.
Well, the other thing, and the other thing is, these next 2 games that you have, obviously the Titans is the one that you look at as a bunny. I wonder if that could be a little bit of a trap, and maybe I'm overthinking it, but they open as a 7-point favorite. I know the Titans suck. Their offensive line's trash. Cam Ward's not that good. Mike McCoy sucks, like all that. But they are coming off a bye. And I remember the Texans in 2020 when they were one of the worst teams in the league. They came off of a bye, and that was when Tennessee was one of the worst teams in the league, and the Texans somehow won that game. Nobody really understood why, but you're coming off a bye, and
Tennessee's one of the best teams in the league, you mean?
Best teams in the league, excuse me. It's been a while. Excuse me for mixing up those words, but the Texans were one of the worst. So I do look at that as kind of a trap. The Buffalo game I look at a lot differently now. And it's not just because they lost to the Miami Dolphins. It's something else that happened last week, in that the reports came out that they were the highest bidders for Jalen Waddle and they were the highest bidders for Quinnen Williams. Both of those teams were in the division. They didn't want to make the Bills better, which is understandable, but that kind of shows how desperate they are. Like, so you see how desperate the Bills are, and then you see them get their ass kicked by the Miami Dolphins, and you start to wonder, okay, is something wrong with the Bills? And then you start factoring in what happened last year when you faced them, and it feels like that's just not as improbable as it once appeared.
Well, and things are going to get weird in Buffalo before they get better, unless they start stacking wins. You lose to this pathetic Dolphins team. Your offensive coordinator is one of the hottest coaching candidates for not only college but pro jobs that are opening up. You tried like hell to get a bunch of players to improve the roster. That didn't happen. Now their tight ends out for a few weeks, the tight end that they lean on and they trust. It's a weird spot there for Buffalo.
Yeah, it's not great at all.
You ain't never hate.
Swarm.
Byro says Mills broke a lot of would-be sacks if CJ were in. Yeah, he did a good job of avoiding sacks. There were a couple times where it just seemed like there were kill shots, and he was able to get out of them and either throw an incompletion or just make a play. So yeah, he did a good job of making the first guy miss. He seemed like he knew where they were coming from. Very often seemed to have good control. Josh says, just joining, but I see lots of praise for the Texans as if the first three quarters weren't abysmal. Hope this is the start of a run, but I'm still worried. Yeah, I don't think anyone thinks that this is like some sort of massive sign that the Texans are a good team. I think it's just a sign that you saved your season, and the offense looked really good doing it. I will say, I don't know that it was really the first three quarters. It was that stretch of special teams play that really kind of made this so bad. Like, if you look at the offense, again, I say this after the Jags went up 17-0, they literally scored points every possession, like except one. And that was when Dalton Schultz dropped a pass. The defense held the Jags to 3 and did a pretty decent job. But as far as the offense, I know it started out bad, and I know they ended up taking the 17-point lead, but that was special teams as much as anything. Like 14 after the Tremont Smith fumble, there was a touchdown. The punt return, there was a touchdown. There were also times where they had a short field because of a kick return. So it was as much special teams as offense or defense. So I do think that needs to kind of be made. I don't know. I guess clear is the way to say it, but I didn't think it was like as bad for three quarters as it seems. I think that you just dug yourself in such a hole because of that ass special teams performance, which we'll get to in a sec.
Yeah, the defense really only had one bad drive in this game.
Drive 2 of the second half,
which was the one where the Jaguars had converted a 3rd and 17. They got a couple of pass interference calls. That was really the only time the defense had a bad drive, in my opinion. And then special teams was bad basically all day long. And then the offense, I mean, they scored on every possession that was a real possession except for one once they started scoring. So, I mean, real good job by the offense to finally get going and put points on the board.
Fact. Chris says, is Jonathan Taylor MVP with almost 300 yards? I mean, it's hard to vote against him. I mean, we'll see what happens with Mahomes as the QB thing, but it's hard to vote against him.
Yeah, I don't know if there's a quarterback that's just like ripping that award away from Jonathan Taylor. You know, I know there's there's some people trying to make the Drake May case.
I do think they gotta stay like in the top 2 of the AFC though. Like I don't think they can play 500 and then get MVP. I think to be a running back and win it, you gotta.
You probably need to be getting the bye or close to getting the bye.
Yeah, I think, and I think 2,000 yards would help him a lot, like in that whole case. Travis E breaking out the Arian Foster TD bow. I didn't even notice that.
I didn't notice that either.
That's respect right there, I would say. Mark Sanchez, hopefully you're recovering nicely, my friend. He says, Mills Mafia, keep him in as a starter until then. Till when?
I'm guessing he means until CJ's healthy. Because the moment CJ can play, you put CJ in.
Well, Chris Sloan asks, should the Texans consider resting CJ more? It is interesting. So I think if CJ can go, CJ's going to go, but you do have 2 games in 5 days. I don't think you should approach it as this is a bunny against the Titans. I think you should play the guy that you think is the best. But I also think a case can be made that if he's not 100%, then you hope Davis Mills can go out there and hold it down. I just look at this as more of a trap than perhaps you do.
Yeah, I don't see this as a trap at all. Because I feel like either quarterback, regardless of who starts, they're going to be ready for this. It's actually more trappy for CJ than it is Davis.
All right, so earlier in the show, I lost the Trent Brown bet, which means I'm going to have to eat a when I'm at my fattest Cody Stutes order next Tuesday, which is going to end up being a Whataburger all-time favorite of my choice, a double meat, double cheese, a large fry and a large onion ring, and a large drink over the course of the stream. Patrick asks on the chat, because we had to spin between Whataburger and McDonald's, what would the McDonald's order have been from Cody Stutes?
It would have been 4 McDoubles, meat and cheese only, 20 McNuggets, and 2 large fries and a large drink.
All right, say that again.
4 McDoubles, meat and cheese only, 20 McNuggets, 2 large fry, and a large drink.
Could I, with the McDoubles, could I get 2 McDoubles with ketchup only, and then not 2 McDoubles as is, and then 2 McChickens with only ketchup instead? If we did that,
well, no, that's not what I got.
how are you eating 4 McDoubles?
The only reason you're getting to choose on Whataburger is because my actual order is not available anymore. The A1 Thick and Hearty Burger doesn't exist anymore.
320 says, should Mills get a sleeve tat, but on his neck?
Davis Mills rolling in with like, go to Togi Eyes guy and get some tribal stuff down the neck.
Wag says, I honestly think he is the anchor / leader they need. Talking about Davis?
Man, Wags turned on CJ. You know what they say? When you lost Wags, you've lost everybody.
Join SNL at Spanky Sharpstown this Friday, November 14th, and the Friday after, November 21st. We're going to be looking ahead to 2 games in 5 days this week, eating all kinds of good grub, and then we'll be reacting to the Buffalo game the day after. A reaction Friday with the people, Sharpstown, Spanky's location. Come to both, enjoy it. We got plenty in store for you. Let's give some credit where it is due, presented by the greatness that is TDECU, the proud sponsor of Reaction Monday. Get that Texans debit card, tdecu.org/Texans, 15% off team gear, membership required, insured by NCUA. We do it every Monday. We know about the Kings of the Turf, presented by Texans Turf. What about the guys that might not be getting as much credit as they deserve?
Where credit is due, presented by our friends at TDECU. Trent Brown, of course, is going to get where credit is due. Might be our only opportunity to put him on one of these. So Trent Brown for the right tackle performance that he had, and had a really nice showing. And look, even somebody is interested in seeing what was there with Trent Brown couldn't have anticipated that he was going to play as well as he did. So good job by Trent Brown. Jaden Higgins getting the nod there after the 5 reception, 42 yards, and the touchdown. I thought he had a really nice game, and Had some first down conversions as well. And then Woody Marks.
3 of them. 3 first down conversions.
Yep. And then Woody Marks gets the credit is due. 63 yards on the ground and added another 18 through the air. He was the primary running back for nearly the entirety of this game. And the only time Nick Chubb got in there was on that little bit of the final drive. And there was a moment where Woody was out of the game and he was right back in. And so by virtue of also Woody Marks playing as much as he did, we saw a whole hell of a lot less of Dare Agumbawale, which is another element of adding to where credit is due. So Woody Marks, Jaden Higgins, and Trent Brown where credit is due. Thanks to our friends at TDECU.
And Alonzo on the chat says he loves TDCU. You are not alone, my friend. It is the best.
Alonzo was Steve Nash yesterday. He kept throwing up alley-oops to me. He's like, man, I think TDECU deserves a game ball. He's like, yeah, but what if they had Texans turf? And then he just kind of kept going and going. It's funny. It's a good job.
There you go. Shout out to Alonzo. All right, let's get into the positions, and then we'll get into the key thoughts before we get out of here. We already talked about Davis Mills. I said it. I think Davis Mills had the best quarterback performance of the season. Does that mean he's better than CJ Stroud? No. But I think it was just what the doctor ordered. I don't think too many could have done what he did. He was not the reason that they got in a massive hole. That was as much special teams as anything, which we'll get to. But I think Davis Mills, A+. I mean, I don't think you could have asked for more from your quarterback in this game with that performance. The toughness, the clutch, the weaknesses becoming strengths when it mattered the most, the command at the huddle, the fact that he was playing behind a new offensive line on the right side. He had a dumbass experiment going on in front of him. The first 2 series, A+ performance by Davis Mills. I don't even think it's a question. That was an awesome effort by Davis Mills.
Well, he had a really great performance. He managed the pocket well, managed some of the pressure that he did face really well. Obviously, the rushing touchdown was a huge moment. I actually think he even left some things out there on the field, a couple of high throws, and then he just flat out just dropped 2 snaps. Like that was he probably had an even better performance if he hit 1 or 2 more of some of those high throws. And it's a good job. I say good job. That's probably not the proper way. It's a great job by Davis Mills in this one.
Absolute great job. Running back, Obs. I thought this was the best effort by Nick Chubb and Woody Marks. We can talk about the touchdown, but that final series, which I don't know that I would have managed the clock the way they did, but the way that they were run blocking, both these guys moved the chains. That was insane. How solid the run game was when they needed it the most with Chubb and Marks. That was the best that duo has looked. And the fact that they were able to do it,
Chubb and Woody,
when they needed it most. I mean, the running backs, you got to give them an A too. Like this is 2 A's.
This is how they should use the running back room. It should be primarily Woody Marks' job and add in Nick Chubb as needed. That's how they need to use this duo. And I understand that long term, I don't know, many of us believe Woody Marks is a running back 1A. He probably isn't. But when it comes to between him and Chubb and how it operated and how they go about their business and what it maximizes for the offense, I liked how they used the running backs yesterday, and I hope they use the running backs like that more. And you saw how fresh and springy Chubb looked there at the end when he was ripping off those big carries. He had 1 carry in the first half, and then he had 3 on that final offensive possession the Texans had. So it's a really good job by the running backs.
Wide receiver, Obs, I would say another A. I mean, what Jalen Knoll, clutch 4th down play being used right. Nico Collins, force feed him when he's not open, he's open. Jaden Higgins, 3 first down catches, a touchdown. Solid.
Yeah, really good job by the receivers. Proper usage, it felt like to me, of the receivers, a little bit closer to what we were hoping and expecting with getting Knoll on the field. He ended up playing 25 snaps, which is more than double what he played last week. Jaden Higgins outsnapped Xavier Hutchinson in this game, which is nice to see. He should be eventually taking over that spot opposite Nico Collins. and Nico was fantastic. He had that incredible catch, the 16-yard play where it was between two defenders, and he held on to it. Great job. The one-handed 2-point conversion. I mean, what more can you say about the wide receivers? Great day from them.
Dalton Schultz, Obs. We don't need to mention the other tight ends. Dalton Schultz, one big drop, man. One big drop, but you look at the vibe that him and Davis Mills have. It seems like there's some good chemistry there. He made some huge plays. That catch in the back of the end zone, third down play, 20 yards plus. He's been an absolute dog for this team this year. This is contract year. Dalton Schultz is a thing. And he's kind of the tone setter right now for this offense, and him and Davis Mills appear to have some pretty good chemistry.
It's a really good job by Schultz. You mentioned the drop. That probably kind of puts a ceiling on what it could have been for the day, but the touchdown catch and some of the conversions and just the key moments. And again, volume, giving him opportunities and throwing him the ball when, he's been making consistent plays for this team. It's a good job.
Offensive lineups. You tell me. You're the offensive line guy.
That first offensive line was dog shit. I mean, I was like, what are they doing? City So out there, and thankfully they ended that experiment pretty quickly, and then they settled in. They settled in nicely. D'Amico Ryans had a lot of nice things to say about what Jared Patterson did at left guard. I don't know why it took them 10 weeks to give him that opportunity. I mean, he was the first guy that they went to when they benched Kenyon Green last year at left guard. I don't know why it took him 10 weeks to give him the chance, but he held up nicely at left guard. Ursery had a really nice game, and Brown had a nice game, so the edges were pretty sound. And then once they put Juice Scruggs back in there, wouldn't you know it, he's better than some practice squad guy who sucked ass on the Patriots 2 years ago. So Scruggs was fine, and Andrews had some moments. He's going to have up and down moments there at that center spot. And I thought the offensive line had a solid enough day. And Davis Mills had to handle some of the pressure that they did allow, and he handled it well and made them look good, which is something that they need out of the quarterback to make this offensive line, which is not the most talented crew. You're going to need the quarterback to make them look good sometimes, and Davis did just that. Ursery in the run game, man, he was mauling folks and moving bodies, and he got out there on the touchdown play. It's a real good job by him.
D-line obs.
Yeah. Woo. I thought there was a moment, and we know about Daniil Hunter and Will Anderson, what they do. Like, we know about that. And Will has a sack at the end. Daniil has the 3.5. He shared that one with Henry To'oTo'o. He probably should have just had 4 to himself, to be honest. But Rankins was pretty consistent. And I felt like there was a moment, and I'd have to go back and just kind of really find it, but they just kind of threw Togiai in there, even in pass downs. And he had some really nice moments.
He's good, dude. He's freaking good. He's freaking good.
He seemed to settle some things down a little bit at the defensive tackle spot.
He's a tone-setting mother trucker too.
I gotta ask him, what's the celebration? There's gotta be. I mean, it's gotta be something. But when he makes a play,
is he Samoan?
I believe he is. Yes.
Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah.
But I want to know. I would like to know the meaning behind it too.
Yeah, you should ask him. He is good. He is good.
I like Togiai. I liked Togiai before everybody else started to like Togiai. So,
okay, all right.
That's my guy. You can ask
Linebacker.
Texas Cap last year. Woo!
Linebacker.
They got picked on. They got picked on, man. I'm telling you, smart offensive coaches. They did it to Tremont Smith, and we'll talk about DBs here in a second. But smart offensive coaches find those guys. They found Henry To'oTo'o a bunch in coverage. They found Azeez Al-Shire in coverage. They're going to get picked. The linebackers have to play better in coverage because they're going to get put in those positions.
Yeah, it's hard to imagine that not being a thing. There was one where Azeez just got completely lost. And then To'oTo'o coverage has been a problem for a decent amount of time.
And speed seems to have passed To'oTo'o as well.
Yeah, he's doing very well. Secondary obs. Derek Stingley saving the 3 points is going to be the play that we remember. But I mean, I would say about as good as you could expect. The biggest blunder, obviously, was the 3rd and 17 missed tackle by Kalen Bullock. But other than that, solid. I mean, solid B plus.
Yeah, had some really nice moments. Tremont Smith got picked on in one moment where he was the outside corner, and I mean,
It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen.
They immediately looked at him. Stingley was out and then back in pretty quick.
They've done that to Tremont Smith, by the way. They took a long shot in week 1 as soon as Stingley went out. So I think Liam Cohen likes to pick on the backup corners.
Yeah, and I was surprised that they went with Miles Bryant as much as they did after MJ Stewart's injury. They had Jalen Reed on the field to be out there, and then they ran Miles Bryant on while they were still getting MJ Stewart off the field, and then Miles Bryant basically was the safety for most of the game after that. Jalen Reed only actually played 1 defensive snap. They're going to have to add a body to the safety room. And I'll be intrigued to see if that's just simply moving someone from the practice squad up to the active roster, or they go try to find somebody.
Yeah, that's
Jimmy's
crazy.
not ready, by the way, so don't ask about Jimmy Ward. He's not ready. It's not going to be Jimmy Ward.
Coaching obs. By the way, CJ Gardner-Johnson finding a role in Chicago. They're blitzing him a lot. So he's found a team where his skills are useful. 2 sacks yesterday. Screw
him. I thought Nick Caley called an excellent game.
His best game of the year.
Yes. I thought he called an excellent game to be able to get things into the end zone and the red zone. To have some short yardage moments and not force it. When I thought, oh God, here they go. Like even with these backups in, they're going to go out and try to just tough guy, caveman football. But they didn't, and got Woody Marks going on the outside in that red zone rushing touchdown. It was a great job. And Nick Caley had his best game of the year.
Yeah, I thought Nick Caley called a good game. I think the decision with the offensive line was one of the dumbest things that we've seen. Fortunately, they got rid of that after 2 series, so I thought that was good. D'Amico's clock management was interesting. I don't believe in using timeouts to save 5 yards. The 3rd and 10, okay, I can maybe get it, and they scored the touchdown after. But on 3rd and 3, especially after you scored on 3rd and 10, I think you get even more space might be a good thing. But it ended up working out. So no harm, no foul. There was a questionable challenge from D'Amico as well, where I don't know that the risk reward really paid out. It was this same thing. But as far as the defensive game plan, can't complain. Offensive game plan, great. I don't know how much it's coaching or whatever when it comes to special teams, but I just think special teams as a whole is just an absolute effing disaster. I don't know if it's coaching. I don't know what it is, but it is an absolute disaster. But it was a game that played out perfectly. You can't complain about the coaching, but I don't know what's up with these special teams. They're very lucky that the special teams didn't end their season, quite frankly, because without that fumble and without that punt return, the Texans might have been in control of this game the whole time.
Yeah, it was. I mean, the punt return is totally unacceptable. Like they played as a special teams unit, they played an unacceptable level of football. Like they cannot be that much of a net negative for this team. They don't have the talent everywhere else to overcome it. The defense can only make up for your screw up so often. Okay, and they're already trying to make up for the issues that the offense have, but. The coverage stuff was bad. The fumble was awful. I don't know why Tremont Smith is in that spot. It should be Berrios and Jalen Knoll returning kicks, and Jalen Knoll should return punts. It's not that hard. I don't know who makes those decisions, but somebody's got to stand on the table and let everybody know that the way to do that is Berrios and Knoll on kickoffs. Okay? And they shouldn't be putting Tremont Smith, and they shouldn't be putting Dameon Pierce back there. Just because they're available doesn't mean you need to use them.
Dameon Pierce, man. I mean, what are we doing?
And
by the way, Dameon Pierce tripped and fell on the first kick return. Like he got to the 30 and then just tripped and fell.
Yeah, I don't know why you put him on the field. You can't put him on the field. And then some of the coverage was bad. I mean, They have got to.
D'Amico said they just got to tackle.
Yeah, he blamed the tackling. He said guys were in position and they didn't make the play. So, okay, well, then that's the Jamal Hills, that's the Jake Hansons, that's why these guys are on the freaking team, is to make special teams plays. So go make them. Go make them.
Yep, they're a disaster. Not great. So this has been brought up a lot. I don't know how it originally came up. What's up with this boxing bit that I keep hearing about with the Texans? I guess D'Amico showed like a boxing fight or match or something.
Yeah. So the story is, I do not care about this one bit, but I understand that people maybe are wondering what the hell's going on. As part of their team meeting the night before, D'Amico Ryans showed a boxing match where the boxer who eventually scored the knockout fought most of the fight with only one arm because he dislocated his shoulder. And it was to drive home the message of, overcoming adversity, even when you can't do anything about some of the adversity. The guy couldn't fix his shoulder in the middle of the boxing fight, yada, yada. I guess a couple of players mentioned it. A couple of media members thought that was some grand, amazing story. And so they've been asking about it nonstop.
Why didn't he just show Jim Abbott's no-hitter?
Because he only has one hand?
Yeah, he only had one arm. Come on.
Yeah.
Should have just shown Jim Abbott's no-hitter.
Well, to be fair, he asked for suggestions at the end of the press conference today, so you should send that in.
Jim Abbott's no-hitter this week.
It's like, hey, sometimes Jim Abbott's throwing hand is the defense, and sometimes without having an arm over here, that's how the offense operates. We could do it, guys.
He was a lefty, dude. He was a lefty. Show some respect.
I didn't say right or left.
Right, left.
I just said his throwing arm and non-throwing arm.
Yeah, I don't know that bit got a lot of attention, man. Like it was like it got just brought up in passing, and then all of a sudden it like became like, and then Aaron was like, "Hey, bro, yeah, he upset Mike Tyson, bro."
Hey, bro, Alpha Aaron here.
Yeah,
He's like, he upset Mike Tyson.
Yeah.
A-Dub. Shout out to A-Dub. It is Reaction Monday, presented by TDECU. Join us at Spanky's in a week. And this week, the 14th and the 21st. It's going to be fun. Always a fun gathering. Always a fun time to eat, drink, all that type of stuff. We'll see you there. Live broadcast starts at 4. We'll be there at 3. Till whenever. If you haven't been, you need to go. Don't know what y'all are waiting for. So Trent Brown, you mentioned, did have an x-ray on his foot per Jonathan Alexander of the Chronicle. I don't know how it ended up, but I just know he's sore. I just know he's sore. And I do wonder if Trent Brown, and this is rich for me to say because I didn't think he could play a whole football game, but I don't know if Trent Brown's going to be ready to go this Sunday. And we'll see if Titus Howard is. I think Titus will probably play.
If Trent Brown was said, "I'm good to go, let's give it a shot," would you start him over Titus?
I would start them both.
I'm just saying, like those are your options at right tackle. Trent says, "I'm good to go." You're starting Trent because I would.
I would ride the Trent Brown train as long as I can. I don't know how much gas it has in it, but I would ride the Trent Brown train as long as I can and just see what happens because he's so massive that no one can get around him.
Let him play right tackle until the season's over or his season's over. That's what I would do.
Yeah, at this point, it's painful to watch, but I mean, it's very impossible for someone to do anything when he's running full speed at him. I mean, he's honest. He's sick. How much do you think, like if you were a carnival worker and you had to guess Trent Brown's weight, how much do you think he weighs?
Step right up. Hey, big boy, why don't you come over here? I'll guess your weight. You got to be 418.
You're going 418?
I would be floored if he's below 400 pounds.
They have him listed at 380. Yeah, right.
Yeah, right. 380.
He's 6'8". He's every bit of 6'8". I think he's probably like 4. 23.
You think he'd tell us?
No, and he might get offended by it, but
Well, a little skinny guy like you goes and asks him. Maybe a fellow fat person like myself.
no. The weight question stopped when John McClain stopped going every day. Yeah, I wonder if McClain would be mad. They got him listed at 380. He's at least 427 pounds.
That was
That was my favorite bit of all time in media.
I was one of my
McClain weight.
McClain getting like visibly frustrated when Will Anderson, like between year 1 and year 2, when he was talking about Will Anderson and like Will Anderson talked about how he added weight, and he's like, they got the wrong weight listed.
He worked his ass off to put on that weight, and they don't show him respect. He's like, how would you feel if you won 21-20 or 21-14, and I said you only won 21-20?
Oh man.
So when it was 17-0, what were you thinking?
I thought it was going to get out of hand. I thought there might be some cans of Quit get opened up. And if it got as bad as I thought it was going to get at 17-0, because I was thinking, okay, this could easily be like a 34-3 game when it's all said and done. My thought was they're going to have to fire Nick Caserio this week. Like that was the guy that I decided on. Was like, somebody's getting it. That's the guy. Like that was my thought. I was like, they're gonna fire somebody, and it might be Nick Caserio this week.
You think he would have gotten fired this week?
If it had ended up as bad as I thought it could have ended up yesterday. Again, it's 17-0. At that point, Davis Mills had 2 drives. One was an interception. One was a punt. Like, I thought it was going to get out of hand, and they were going to get just smoked, and people were going to be booing, and that place was going to be empty for the second half, and they weren't going to come back. And I was like, okay, well, then they're going to have to fire somebody.
I think I would agree with you, and it's not necessarily because they were down 17-0, but if you do the corny shit that they did at the start of the game where you have a random ass Patriot guy started offensive line in a win or season over game, and it ends up being a disaster and you don't win, then I think that just kind of highlights all of the skepticism about you. Because A, it shows that you got problems with the offensive line, and B, it shows that you're just a Patriot blowhard. And there's still like the offensive line is not good. Like, let's be real, but there is still those thoughts do not go away, but they would have been maximized at the worst level halfway through the season with your season ending. So I would agree with you on that you can make a case Davis Mills. I mean, he saved a lot of butts. I just think I think the saddest thing about it is whoever made this decision, the defense brought it, the offense brought it, the special teams did not. And they tried something really weird that was clearly strange. The other thing is, so Jared Patterson can play guard? Like, what? So what?
Why did it take 10 weeks to figure that out?
So Lakin Tomlinson was like rotating with Juice Scruggs, and then you didn't want to play Juice Scruggs, and then you played Juice Scruggs, and then you rotated Lakin Tomlinson with him again, and then you had some random scout team guy start a game, and then you put Scruggs back in, and then Jared Patterson plays left guard. And DeMeco seemed pretty pleased with Jared Patterson too, by the way.
He played left guard with no Lakin rotation.
Yeah. So where was that at all year?
So they clearly felt okay enough about Jared Patterson at left guard to not rotate him with Lakin, despite the fact that he didn't get that opportunity, and Juice initially got that opportunity, and they felt so little about Juice to start City So from the practice squad, but then they came to their senses and benched his ass 9 snaps into his Texans career and put Juice in there.
Username unrecognized. Don't know what this is. He says, hard to say the defense showed an elite performance when they scored 29 points. 14 were on special teams, brother. Seven were a punt return. That's not defense. There was a fumble, and they had a short field. So, yeah, I have no problem shaping my lips to say the defense displayed an elite performance. If you watch the game, you probably would think that too, unless you're just counting special teams as defense too.
I mean, Trevor Lawrence threw for 158 yards. He got sacked 5 times, and they had 94 yards rushing. So
yeah, it's easy for me to say. Very easy. Yeah, the points, there's a lot more to it than that.
They had 3 straight absolute gotta have it defensive moments.
Davis Mills gave him the ball in scoring position on the first drive. Tremont Smith gave him the ball in scoring position, and then they had the punt return. That's 17 of the 29 right there. So yeah, it's very easy to say that they had an elite performance. You don't win without them.
Correct.
Very easy to say. And it's a very, very good defense. Glass half full, glass half empty here on Reaction Monday, presented by TDECU.
Ooh, glass half full. I mean, they might have some. I mean, they at least have more options on the offensive line than they previously had.
Okay.
I mean, they at least have options, and they seem willing to at least play some of those options, and some of those options have played and played well. So I think that would be half full.
I would say half full is the 5-5 is what we said that they needed to do after starting on 3. You have that opportunity, and the Buffalo game doesn't look as scary as it once did. They're a desperate team who tried to make 2 big trades. Then they got their ass whooped by Miami. So not only do you have that opportunity, the game that we had chalked down as an L, it looks a little bit different on a short week on Thursday. You also have CJ Stroud coming back. You got to watch Davis Mills. Maybe that makes him a little bit better. Is he going to be back Sunday or Thursday? Who knows? But that's the half full. The half empty, I think.
I got some more half fulls.
All right.
The red zone performance. 4 of their 5 red zone trips were touchdowns. That's a really good job by them. After they were just pathetic in the red zone to start. I mean, they're still one of the worst teams in the red zone, all encompassing for the season. But your backup quarterback and goes in there, and 4 out of your 5 red zone trips turn into touchdowns. That's a really good job by a team that struggled a ton there. So maybe they have a better understanding of how they should operate in the red zone coming out of this one.
The half empty, I think this Tennessee game I think it has trap potential. I know they suck, but coming off of a bye, that we've seen the Texans when the Titans were one of the best teams in the league, and the Texans were one of the worst coming off of a bye. I think it was 2020. They found a way to win. Texans are far from one of the best. And we also know how the Titans treat Texans games. Amy Adams might give a speech before the game. So I do think you gotta keep your eyes peeled for that. Also a little bit worried about what the offensive line looks like on the way back. But you have a good opportunity to be 5-5. I think you should probably expect to be that.
I would say that your safety situation is a pretty thin situation right now. So, MJ Stewart going down, he'd been the guy they basically turned the position over to. They turned the position over to him. After they got rid of CJ Gardner-Johnson, he'd been fine. And they don't have a guy ready to just take all of his snaps. So you're a little thin there at safety. I'd say that's a little half empty.
Yeah, CJ Gardner-Johnson, he's found a home in Chicago. Good for him. But yeah, that's where we're at. Join us at Spanky's this Friday. Join us on the Texans Collective in about 2 hours and 15 minutes. If you haven't subscribed to that, go ahead. Myself, Sean Pendergast, Reginald. We will be live at 6. It's always more fun to react to a win. I will say that. And it did not look like this was going to be a win early on or even midway or even in the third quarter of this game. But I'll be damned it happened. And 5-5 is alive.
It certainly is. And now they got to take care of the Tennessee Titans. And definitely not a trap game.
All right, there you go. Guarantee from Cody Stutes. Subscribe, like, ride along. Always remember, when it comes to this Texan stuff, we're all in it together.
Eat good, sleep good, be good. We'll talk Texans again soon. Thanks for watching, everybody.